Little Aaron's here. Let's do a proverbial and honorary cheers.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna reach across, but
There
we
we go.
the man is persuasive. Congratulations on, first off, Year of the Dog. Now,
Thank you.
is it the Year of the Dog or just Year of the Dog?
Year of the Dog. Yeah.
Year of the Dog,
Year
right
of
on.
the Dog.
And is that an homage to your dog, who you told us about briefly?
Yes, and then also 94 was the year of the dog. It's the year I was born.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I kind of was calling my working title when I made it was gonna be Dog Days.
Okay.
Cause like I don't know, that's just like a good term for like.
You feel like an underdog? Is there any sort of homage to that?
I do feel like an underdog, but it's not. That wasn't really conscious. It was more like I really was set on calling it Dog Days for a minute, cause that kind of was how I felt during quarantine during the whole last year. Like Dog Days are traditionally like the hottest day of the summer, I think, hottest day of the year. I don't know, but it's like it's supposed to mean just like a fucking shitty day, like the dog days when you
as
like
Florence and
fucking
the Machine
roughed
have
it
taught
out.
us.
When you roughed it out. And then the dog days kind of turned into a whole year of it. So I was like, Year of the Dog. And then 94 is Year of the Dog.
That's cool.
And I've been wanting to find a good way to pay homage to my best friend, Simon. So
You had him the whole 12 years?
I've had him like 10 of the 12 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds like your ride or die.
He is my ride or die. He got me through a lot of shit. Like I had him back in high school, back when fucking, you know.
Isn't that
from the
crazy?
beginning. I moved him out to LA. He went from Indiana to LA. He's a Hollywood boy now.
Is there any other constant in your life like that for that long?
My family.
Yeah.
You know, he's a part of my family though. But yeah, I mean, I got some friends. I have friends from back then. One of my really good friends, Connor, I moved out to LA at my first crib, the mini mansion. He stayed with me, and now he's still out here.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, 10 years is a long fucking time to be riding with someone.
Dude, for sure. So when did this all start for you? You grew up in Indiana. Because this is the part of the story I don't typically hear.
Okay.
So you grew up in Indiana.
Yeah.
Born and raised.
Born and
By
raised.
South Bend?
Very close to South Bend is where I spent most of my time, but not where I was born.
Okay.
I was born in Frankfurt, and I moved around a little bit. I was in a couple places in Indiana, a couple places in Ohio, settled back down in Goshen, Indiana, and that's where I spent the majority of my time. That's where my parents still live.
You were saying before on the radio that you weren't allowed to listen to secular music at a certain age?
Yeah.
What's the story with that?
Growing up, it was just Christian music. But luckily, you know, the era that I grew up in, there was really good Christian alternative or, you know, pop punk adjacent.
Yeah.
You know, Reliant K and
Were you allowed to
Switchfoot.
listen to Reliant K?
Yeah, they're
okay.
they're
yeah,
Christians.
of course.
So I was definitely super into that stuff.
Do you ever hear about the band FM Static?
Of course.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
So I love them.
I don't think you could quiz me on like a
But they're Christian, right?
yeah, a band that was even just like Christian adjacent from that era. It's like I knew all of them because it was just such a small pool, like the Tooth and Nail,
Right.
you know, whole scene. It was like I said. Luckily, there was cool music that came out of that. But then when I got computer access and got on MySpace, I just got introduced to the whole world of MySpace music and fell in love. And I think you can kind of still tell with a lot of my music and just aesthetic that like I live for the MySpace era.
So, okay, so I was on MySpace for like a second and then Facebook hit. And I remember being
I was on it since I was like fucking 11 or 12.
So,
you know?
but take me back because this is like it's such an influential time period, but it was this experience that like generationally, like I don't know what I was doing, but I wasn't like, MySpace to me was like you remember those chicks that like knew dudes from other towns growing up? Like those chicks were on MySpace. Like that was my
and the dude that they knew
MySpace.
from another town was me.
It was probably you, bro. Seriously.
I was the dude that was
Straight
like,
up.
you know, like I knew girls from other towns. It's that typical like, no, she goes to another high school. Trust me.
Dude.
But you know,
But what was it like? Like, so you'd go on MySpace. Like, how would music be distributed on MySpace?
Well, the coolest thing of MySpace was the music discovery because every artist had control of their top 8. So like I like the way Spotify and iTunes will show you like related artists and it's like analytically related.
Yeah.
But back then, like you could go to your favorite artist's MySpace and they would put who they wanted in their top 8. So it could be
other bands.
Yeah, it would usually be other bands. And so it'd be like there would be a project up there that like, you know, maybe wasn't even that big yet. They were just friends with the band. So
yeah.
I found a lot like that. I went on rabbit holes of just listening to the top 8 artists and then going to that artist's top 8 and shit like that. So I was just so, I mean, once I like started seeing that there was a world of music like that like scene electro pop and like the pop punk back then, like I just fell in love and I couldn't get enough. I was like, I was a big like Never Shout Never head, you know?
Okay,
like,
yeah. Dude, they're great. How have they not like come back?
I mean, I bet they will.
Yeah,
I bet they will.
Or just that sound.
Unless Chris doesn't want to, like, I think that. I mean, fucking, I would work with him right now. I would love to.
But just that style, you know, that really high vocal and just sort of.
It's so adjacent to what's happening right now. It's so like
What do
clearly.
you think is adjacent to?
Just what's happening with the revival of pop punk, alternative, emo, early 2000s music. Like that scene, you know, kind of grew into what the MySpace scene was, or it was like older brother, little brother, you know?
Yeah. You think that's where it's going?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me.
So like we're taping this. If you're watching this in the future, what up? In what is it? I was about to say July. Is it July 2021? It's July. Yeah, July 2021. And I would say we're like 2 years into this movement, starting in earnest with like the MGK Youngblood record, right? Like I Think I'm Okay. That's like to me like what
Drugs
started.
came out 5 years ago. So
Well, we'll get into like you being like way early on basically everything, and also like what I think is next, and we'll get into what I think is next. But like for all intents and purposes, in this identity, that's where this started, right?
Which
so
like what do you think is the best name? I see people now calling it new punk.
That's corny.
I think
that's just
corny.
so corny, dude. I think that's super corny. I see that too.
Like, what is it?
I just think it's the pop punk revival. I think, but also like
I always called. I mean, like I think pop punk is in the alternative umbrella, of course, right?
But do you remember when like Nothing? We were just talking about Nothing Nowhere before, and I remember when he first broke, they called him like an emo rapper.
They called all of us emo rappers.
Yeah, because they didn't know what to call it. So they're like, oh, this is like
Drugs
emo
was
rap.
always my biggest song, and they called it emo rap. It's like because there's an 808 in the bridge.
Yeah, well,
like,
you didn't know what to call it.
Where did I rap on that song?
No, exactly.
The delivery, you know. But that's like if you would call Fred Durst a rapper, then maybe I'm a rapper.
He is a rapper.
Okay.
I think he's an MC for sure.
Yeah, I mean his delivery, but it's not. It wasn't like the traditional rap music that you heard.
Yeah.
Obviously they were very influenced by rap music. I'm not gonna try.
Well, and Together Now is like a straight
but it's
up
like
rap song.
still like they're a rock band though.
Yeah.
You know.
No one's. It's just. It's like I almost like don't want to get into this because I feel like every podcast goes here lately. But also like I'm being real, and this is what we talk about. Like everyone's just painting from like the Blink-182 brush or the hue, I should say, right? Like they're painting from that palette versus like we're talking right now about Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst, right? It's like, man, that was pretty interesting. And you can't do it like I don't believe in doing anything like verbatim, like you know, going back and just
you gotta
lifting
put a
it. But
spin
like
on it.
yeah, like yo, like I was even thinking recently, I was listening to Polo G's album, and I was like, man, like, because he got that guy Einer. You know the guy Einer? Am I saying his name right?
Einer Banks?
Yeah.
I think you're saying it. I don't know.
But like, I thought it was brilliant what he did. He's like, well, this is so fat on the internet. Why don't I just have him start producing records? But then think about it, like, so you were to incorporate hip hop today, like Bizkit did then, dude. Like, I was listening to their album, I was like, man, if you like started off with that sort of like picking thing, that ukulele, but then just like boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean?
I mean, then you're getting into like Our Last Night territory.
I don't even know Our Last Night.
They just like cover every popular song.
I don't like that. I mean, no, I shouldn't say I don't like that. I never heard them, but like, I think there's some things of just like, I don't know.
I feel you. No, I feel you.
You know what I'm trying to say? I shouldn't have
sure.
said that. I apologize for last night. I don't know you, but I bet you're sick. Aaron seems to like you. So,
well, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just saying, there's a way to do it. There's a way
with more swag.
There's a way to make, to take the sound of something and mesh it with something without it being feeling like a cover.
Well, because like, I think like the way that we've had like trap drums cross over, so like hip hop has crossed over into pop punk, and then also like rock is sort of crossed over to hip hop in a lot of different ways. Like there's
guitar music, especially.
What's that?
Guitar music is like you can't listen to a bit. You can't listen to like a top 10 hip hop
and not
album
hear
and
it.
not hear guitars.
But you know what's crazy? I remember being
like
at Billboard.
Emo guitar licks.
Yeah, but like I was at Billboard in 2018, and I remember this really talented writer named Chris Payne, who's a really smart guy, and he was right at the time, wrote this huge long read about like guitars. Where did they go? Guitars are nowhere, because it was like you're in Portugal.
I remember a time because I've been like writing with pop artists for the sake of writing for top 40 radio for like 6 years now, and I remember there was a time where people were like, oh, like don't do guitars, like guitars don't get played on the radio.
Right.
I remember hearing that. I mean, and especially like fucking real drums. Like the fact that we hear, even more than guitars, the fact that we hear real drums on the radio.
It's kind of crazy.
It's crazy, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love real drums. I mean, the EP shows that. It's all fucking real drums.
Yeah.
But I feel you. It's you know, what's going to happen next in the resurgence? I don't know. I'm excited to see. I like to think that, you know, I'll probably be a part of it, but
Oh, I mean, you'll be like an essential part of it, whatever it is. But I guess my question that I was going to get to was, do you feel like we're at the end of this thing or just the start?
No way. You're a fucking idiot if you think we're at the end of this. Like, the two of the biggest rappers of like the last couple years that both, you know, rest in peace, X and Juice, like guitars were so prevalent in their music.
Right.
And it's like rap is the biggest music right now, period.
Right.
It's the most streamed music. And so like they're just that is prevalent enough, I think, that rock music can live on its own and then can also be sprinkled into other genres, into a way where it's like that's not just gonna like, it's not like guitars were invented 5 years ago and it's like this new thing. It's like, no, guitars have already stood the test of time in music. Just because we have 808s and hi-hats and fucking synths and all these digital sounds, like doesn't mean, I don't think the guitars or rock music influence is going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to get stronger and stronger.
It's such an interesting time in music because I'm trying to identify like what is exciting, right? So like to me, like hip hop isn't that exciting right now, and it's not. I don't think it's hip hop's fault, right? Because if you look at it, like to me, hip hop peaked in 2018. Like that summer, you get like Scorpion, you get the Pusha record, you get like the Kanye, all those good music records. Then you get Astroworld, then you get like Jay-Z, Beyonce, the Carter's album, and like then X passes away that summer. Like you get Juice WRLD's debut album that summer. It's like insane. Like, and you see every genre throughout history peaks like that, right? Like this genre, modern rock, let's say, alternative, probably peaked in like 97, 95, 96, right? And so, but then there's like a downswing and something else rises up. So something I'm really fascinated by right now is like what's about to rise up. I'm not completely sold it's pop punk. I think maybe there's something of like maybe it's like if someone can come along and make like accessible hyper pop, right? And I know that's like a corny title and
that's
people
interesting.
but it's like if you can be like I was just talking to an artist and I was like, who's gonna be like the Lifehouse or like the fuel of like hyper pop, where like a soccer mom will be like, oh, this is kind of like cool, distorted vocals and like, you know, big abrasive, like, because there's also a lot of heavy metal to me in hyper pop in terms of the abrasiveness of it, you know, like I think
same attitude.
Yeah, well, like Gex, I think like a generation ago. And you heard this on the 100 or the Linkin Park remix of One Step Closer. Like that's what that would have been.
Yeah,
you know, that same energy.
Well, even if you look at what's happening in live music with those scenes, like that's what the warehouse parties are playing. That's what, you know.
You're saying the warehouse parties are playing hyperpop.
Yeah, hyperpop, or you know that like fast, you know, EDM influenced pop rap. You know.
Right.
That idea of like kids that grew up on Skrillex producing, you know, getting FL Studio or Ableton and producing their own music.
Are you surprised Skrillex isn't doing more with this moment, just with his history?
I think he is.
Yeah.
I think he is.
Okay.
I think he is
coming.
Involved. No, I just think he is involved, whether or not we like see it firsthand with releases.
How often does that happen? As somebody who writes and is also an artist and produces, it's like, in terms of people going uncredited.
I just know that. No, I don't mean like that way. I just know that like Skrillex has been involved with, you know, people like me or Dylan for like, you know, years before that moment happened. So
yeah.
I know he's tapped in. Like that dude is, especially anything dance music related, that dude's as tapped in as can be, I think.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, they did you hear that song? It was Josh Pan. No, Josh Pan, Dylan Brady, Skrillex, and then this other DJ duo.
No.
And Dylan Brady is the half of 100 Gex.
Yeah, of course.
He produced Drugs as well. He actually produced that.
Dylan Brady did Drugs.
Dylan
How'd
Brady
you meet Dylan Brady?
Was involved with my whole first EP, Glowing Pains.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you meet him?
Just through the internet. The first time I heard about him was when me and Y2K put out Damn, which is the first song I dropped as Lil Aaron. There was comments being like, oh, you're trying to be Dylan Brady. And I was like, who the fuck?
Yeah.
And then I found his shit, and then we became friends, and I brought him out to LA to work on Glowing Pains. And then
where was he living?
St. Louis.
Oh, that's right. They're from St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
Y2K is the reason you're an artist, right? Because he left you on the record? You just cut a record together?
Yeah, so shout out Y2K, one of my best friends. We really, really, really came from the bottom together. He had a little bit of a following on SoundCloud when we first linked up, but like we like slummed it together, like we both stayed in like his ex-girlfriend's apartment. Like I was sleeping on an air mattress. He was staying at my apartment that had roaches. Like we really slummed it together. And he's killing it. He just produced like 4 songs on that Doja Cat album. He's like out here. But
I think he was her day for the Grammys.
Yeah,
it was wild.
I mean, it's
just cool. It was just cool to just see him in that context because I'm a fan as well.
Yeah,
and you don't necessarily associate him with like a hoity-toity, like award show.
Right.
I was like, that's pretty cool. Like like a bumper shot on CBS. It's like, oh shit, you know what I mean?
So so we linked up, and our intention was he wanted to like, he knew I was a songwriter, and he was like, let's make some songs to pitch, and we started making Damn, and halfway through it, and like Damn, when we made it, we were like, let's do like Lana Del Rey meets Travis Scott, and then I think if you just add my vocal tone, I just grew up in emo music, so like even if you fucking put me through that hard vocal chain that rappers do, like I still sound like a little emo kid.
Totally.
I think at the time I was like, oh, I'm being hard as fuck, and then everyone's like, sounds like fucking Hollywood Undead, which I love.
Dude, and they just did a record. I think they just did a record with 0936.
I love Hollywood Undead.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we put that, like we made that song, and then we're like, well, no one's gonna put this out but us, so that we just put it out, and it reacted, and that was the first song I dropped as Lil Aaron, and that's when we started. About that time is when we started working on Glowing Pains, which is the EP that had drugs on it, and even that shit was like, it was well received at first, but it was a slow burn. You know? It took a minute for everyone to catch on, and then
just get closer to the mic, by the way.
My bad.
No, it's all good.
But yeah, I do owe a lot of the success to Y2K.
So how do you go from doing drugs, the song, and to writing for Selena Gomez? And I only bring up the Selena thing because I think it's one of the most more interesting, unexpected factoids about you.
I mean, she's probably, as an artist, the biggest artist I've worked with.
Right.
So that is one that comes up a lot.
Did you work with someone because I think what's fascinating, maybe a songwriter, a young songwriter, aspiring one, or aspiring artist is watching this right now. Like, how do you get to a point where that's even a possibility? Are you writing with it was similar?
Definitely the people I was in a room with.
Right. But had you ever done a record for somebody like almost as big? Like, was it a build up, or was that just out of nowhere?
I mean, yes, I had a lot of cuts with a lot of artists before that. But that song came together. It was like the room I was in. It was kind of like a right place, right time. I got thrown into this session, and even when we were making the song, we were like, oh, like Selena would be good for this. We know Selena's looking, because when you're in the songwriting world, you have your relationships with A&Rs, and then the writers and producers you work with have their relationships. So they'll be like, oh, we know so-and-so's looking, or so-and-so's at least taking records right now. So we knew Selena was looking. She was working on an album. I wouldn't say that like we sat down and were like, let's write a Selena song, but as the song started coming together, we were just like, yo, this song would be really good for Selena.
What made you say that about the song?
Just like lyrically, and I don't know, it just felt
Will you
good.
ever hear that someone's looking for music and then try to put yourself in their shoes and write a song that you feel like...
I try to never write a song like, I'm going to write the song for this person.
Okay. Do they come out bad, typically?
No, it's just like, think about it. Like, it's the same way I think if I told you to write a Lil Aaron song.
Yeah.
Like, you're only familiar with what I've had out. You don't even know, like, where I am right now.
Yeah.
So, like...
It's a caricature.
Yeah, it's like, if I make a song, like, oh, if I'm going to make a song for this person, I'm just going to be basing it off of their last projects. I don't know that, like, oh, they just fell in love with this artist, or they want to go a little bit alternative, or they want to start rapping on this album. Like, you don't know those intricacies of, like, unless you're in the studio with them.
Yeah.
So I try not to just be like, oh, I'm going to write a song for so-and-so, because I just try to go in and make the best song I can. And, as the production and the beat comes together, like, what is this beat saying to me? Like, what do I think needs to be written on this?
Right.
I usually, like, will hear a production and be like, that's, I hear a melody or a hook on it.
Right.
And then I'll just kind of, like, let my team figure out what's next. Or just, sometimes it's like, oh, this song would be great for Black Bear, or someone that I have in my contact list. So I'll text it to them. But I don't usually go in being like, I'm gonna write a song for this person. I just kind of like, let's just write a good song.
Totally. Who's blown you away the most? Because you're such a talented guy, and I also feel like I don't want to say you're not quick to praise, but I feel like you've got like a pretty like honest gauge of like, you're not just gonna like blow smoke to blow smoke. Like who's really just like. I will
say like when I first met Kim Petras, the first day we met, we wrote her first single, I Don't Want It At All. And we met in the studio, and she came down with Aaron, a good friend of mine now, who's her producer. It was the first time I met both of them. And they played a couple songs they had just acoustic, just to like catch the vibe before we started. Actually, we didn't even know we were gonna write yet. They just like came by to like link up to meet. And I was just like, oh, okay, like that's what a real singer sounds like. She's like a fucking phenomenal vocalist performer. Just like sitting in a room with an acoustic guitar, I was like, oh, okay. And then they were about to leave, and they didn't leave, and we stayed, and we wrote a song, and then since then we've just been best friends, and I've written so much with her. And she's like, as a performer and someone in the studio, and just like seeing someone's work ethic and seeing someone's ability to be like, to acknowledge what it takes to get a hit or to be a superstar, and just be like, I'm down to put in the hours. That's someone that I've been close enough to see, you know, from the beginning, and I'm like, she's really blown me away. And on top of that, just from the second I met her sheer talent, just like the vocal ability, I was like, because as a songwriter, I don't even attribute myself to being like the best vocalist in the world. I'm not even trying to be. You know, I have my voice, and I know what my limits are, and I know what I can do with it. But when I get in the studio as a songwriter with someone that has pipes and can fucking sing any idea I give to them, it just broadens the canvas. Instead of the canvas being like this little thing, it's like, okay, we can do anything, and they're going to be able to perform it. And that's always really exciting, especially when they have like a range different than mine, where I can kind of like when I'm in the studio with Kim, I can go like, nah, 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 and then she's on the booth like making it sound like angelic, and I'm like,
it's so awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's like if you like paint and you're like make really shitty paintings, but then you have another person looking at your painting and like painting like the most beautiful picture.
Yeah, like, oh, that's what you
want?
I
meant. Yeah, like, that's what I meant. I just can't do it myself.
So have you ever found that with anyone else other than Kim?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a handful of artists. I mean, Kim, I wouldn't say that. I would say that not many artists I come in contact with are on the caliber of her.
Right.
She's on like the fucking top
next level.
But I am really good at, you know, when I work with an artist, figuring out where their voice sits on a song, and, you know, whether or not we need to transpose something and make it higher for them or whatever. I'm pretty good at like hearing where someone's sweet spot is and being able to cater to that.
Yeah.
So I think every vocalist in their own right has their sweet spot and has the thing they do well. And some vocalists, it's not having the crazy range, but it's having an amazing tone, or like a raspiness to their voice and playing into that. But it's all different. It's everybody's different.
Yeah. So where do you want to take your music? Because you like
to the top.
I like got so psyched. I was in New York at the time when I heard you were going to drop 808 Rock.
Sick.
And just with the influences there, you know, us both being fans of new metal music and hard rock music. And then the new project is kind of showing off your other talents as like sort of like a pop punk and alternative, you know, songwriter and artist. Right. So how do you sort of like juggle the two, and how do you see yourself in terms of, is it just like super fluid? And
I'm just going to say like, who fucking knows if I'm going to drop like a rap project next? Mm-hmm. Like I think I in the past I've gotten a little too wrapped up in like trying to, you know, like fit into a lane where I'm just like, my talents like surpass any type of lane. I can write a pop song, I can write a rap song, I can write a fucking metal song, you know? Yeah. So as an artist, you know, I actually fought coming back to this sound for a minute, because I was like, I already did it with drugs. I don't want to come back to this pop punk thing. I did it. Now I'm trying to do like, I was doing the 808 Rock thing, and I was like kind of trying to like tap into a bunch of different, like maybe I do a country project or whatever. But it was just like, it was something that people wanted me to do that I was kind of fighting for a long time. And then when I wrote I Just Remembered I Hate You, I was like, I have this right now, and I know this is what the world wants from me. And it was really inspiring me at the time, so I was like, fuck it, this is what I'm gonna do. Right. So I kind of just follow what I'm inspired by, you know? And maybe I do want to eventually go back and revisit the new metal side of Lil Aaron and do like a full album of like some heavy dark shit.
Yeah.
But it's just all about timing. I plan on being a songwriter, a producer, and artist for fucking until the day I die. So like,
was being so early on drugs, does that when you talk about timing and bringing it up, do you take that into account now when you release music? Because drugs, I mean, that's like, to me, it's like, I think it's going to be, and this is going to sound crazy, but like, I think that's going to be a historic song. Because
I mean, I think it already is, but
well, to me right now, it's like this cult classic.
Yeah.
But I think when whatever this becomes shakes out, you're going to go, dude, like that guy was doing it 5 years ago.
Right.
I
mean, yeah, we'll see. I think, because I was early on that and because that song had its moment and like, that was a song where like, it's hitting like it's hitting like 100,000 streams a day now. Where like for it to even hit 100,000 streams at the beginning took so long. So it's not like I dropped it and it was like fucking viral.
What reinvigorated it?
TikTok.
Oh, really? Was there a trend or just people using it?
There's no trend, but there's like 50,000 TikToks to that video.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's TikTok in tandem with just the moment happening. And it's always kind of been like this frat party anthem, you know? I'll get a lot of like Snapchats or fucking tagged in videos on Facebook or Instagram. I mean, and of kids at like frats. It's like
and they're like,
frat energy song.
Yeah. It's a big market.
It's a great market.
You know what I
was
mean?
just talking to my agent. I was like, let me get into the college shows.
Bro.
Like, I know college kids fuck with me. Like, let me just get that college bag.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, you know who else is an artist that I think low key, I mean, hits a lot of demos. That's why she's so massive. But like huge frat party anthem artist is Cardi B.
Oh, right.
Dude, I think like a huge under talked about demo for her.
If anybody here books shows for their college, hit me the fuck up.
Lil Aaron for Springfest.
I'm trying to like, I just love the college energy. Like I love partying. I love, just like having fun. And I think that college energy. I have this song actually with this artist 44 Blonde, a good friend of mine. Yeah, 44.
Yeah, of course.
So we have this record we did with Feldman called, I don't know if I'm not allowed to leak this yet, but I'm going to say it. We have this record called Sorority Girls that's like, because he's still in college.
Oh, 44 Blonde?
Yeah, 44 Blonde's still in college. So it's like just this like college anthem, ode to sorority girls, this like big college turn up record. And like, and in my verse, I'm even acknowledging that I'm like a little bit older. I'm like, think I made out with a teacher. Like, just like, it feels like American Pie as a song.
Definitely. That's some crazy shit. So do you miss Indiana?
I just went back.
That's right.
I got back from Indiana on Wednesday. So I just went back. I met my nephew. My sister just adopted a kid. So it's like my first nephew situation, niece or nephew. And that was cool. And like I do enjoy the slow pace for a little bit. I enjoy the slow pace of it. And like we went out on the boat, on the lake, just like some real Indiana shit. And I was like, all right, I like this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time when I was younger where like going back to Indiana was like the bane of my existence,
Well, how much of like wanting to get out of it was like part of your story in terms of like, was that like
I
the
definitely
gas that
like just
lit the
needed,
fuse?
I knew very early I needed to get out. When I started touring and I came through LA a couple times, I was like, all right, that's the fuck where I need to go. Like that's it. That's where stuff happens.
Yeah. It's actually crazy. Like I've only been out here since June 1st and I was in New York City. Like, it's not a small town. And just like, this place is ridiculous. This is where everything happens.
And like, mentally in my head back then, I was like, New York, Nashville, or LA. And like, I'm just so happy I picked LA because New York, the songwriting scene in New York kind of died in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Like what happened? Because like, there's just nothing happening in New York.
I don't know. I do know, I have to say, I do know a couple really talented people out there, but they all come to LA.
Yeah, to work. Totally.
And like New York's cool. I don't like going to New York. I love playing shows in New York. I love my fans in New York. Obviously East Coast like shows so much love. But as far as just spending time in New York,
what don't you like about it?
I think it's just like the transportation and like the setup of the city is like
Does it give
not
you
my
anxiety?
speed. It definitely gives me anxiety. I'm the kind of person too where like I'm fucking 15 minutes late to everything, and
Yeah.
I feel like you get in more trouble in New York for being late than you do in LA.
Oh, interesting.
LA, like everyone is like you even said earlier when we were talking about them, like tell them this time so that they come at this time.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like in LA people are, it's like LA is more just like that stoner energy of like show up when you show up, and like
And there's just like, I just feel like everything happens here. Like, it's like,
and everyone's here. If you're not in LA, you come to LA. But that's probably true to New York too. Everybody goes to New York eventually.
I don't know, dude. Like, so I had such a weird life in New York where I would do this for a living, and then I'd get off air at the end of the week, and I'd be like, especially during the pandemic, I was just like, dude, there's nothing to do. I'd hit up buddies from high school, and I'd be like,
Damn,
yo,
you're down bad.
Yeah, I'd be like, dude, I was like, what's going on in the
fucking
burbs?
Clayton from high school. I was so down bad. I haven't talked to that kid in 18 years.
I was like, you ever see Billy Madison?
Yeah.
I was like calling up like Steve Buscemi on the couch. You know what I mean? Hey man, you remember me from high
you
school?
want to go play darts?
Yeah.
Like what the fuck?
Literally though,
Yeah.
and it was like such a weird lifestyle. But yeah, so that's why I mean personally I had to come out here. But yeah, it's amazing out here,
I'm
and
glad
I think
you made it out.
it's such an eclectic city too, where you can find what you want. If you can't find what you want out here, like it's weird. Well, I dated a girl one time that was like,
Damn,
yeah,
you dated a girl one time? That's so tight.
yo, but one time.
That's so
And
sick.
I
I'm
fucking
proud of you.
Tired, bro.
That's sick,
Fucking
dude. Yeah,
mic
one day,
drop.
I'm thinking one day I might date a girl. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, it's tight. It's pretty tight.
How was it? Tell me about it.
Man, well, like she smelled good.
Oh, yeah. I love when girls smell good.
Yeah, her hair was pretty cool too.
Cool hair, good teeth, good breath,
Yeah,
nice pedicure. I'm in.
go off, King.
Go off.
But she like, I remember she telling me that she like hated LA, and now living out here, I was like, I don't know how you.
If
can
you hate
LA,
LA, then something's wrong with you.
I think yeah.
But like, it's funny too. My brother just moved out here, and I've been trying to get him to move here for years.
Does he do music or no?
Yeah,
Oh, he does?
he's a guitarist. He
Older,
plays,
younger?
Older. He
Oh,
got
really?
me into music. He's
Oh no
like,
crap.
He's like, no crap.
No crap. I thought we were on the air. See how good I am at my job? I literally
Hey, no crap.
thought
bro.
I was like, no crap.
Yeah, no, I love my brother to death. Cora,
No crap,
he's the man.
jolly.
He plays in a couple bands. He plays in a band called Angel Dust. He plays in a band called Narrowhead. He's so fucking talented. But I've been trying to get him to move out here for the longest time, and he was always like, "Oh, I hate LA."
Yeah.
And then now that I got him out here, he's like, he loves it.
You know what's
he's
funny?
more busy than I am. He's like hanging out with people all the time. I'm like, damn, see, you had so many friends out here and you didn't even know it.
And you didn't even know.
Yeah.
I think that it's funny, like to compare New York and LA. People hate the perception of LA, and people hate the reality of New York, right? So it's like the reality of LA is pretty tight. The reality of New York is like rough. That's a rough city, dude.
Well, here, I'll put it this way. Like, I don't even go to downtown LA that much.
Yeah.
And New York is like, all of it is downtown.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know.
That's a good point. Like that vibe.
That's just not my energy. Like, I live in the fucking valley, bro. Like, I'm on my slow pace shit. Like, I walk my dog through a neighborhood, you know, and I
That's
can
cool.
still be here in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the real
Yeah.
vibe of LA is like,
Yeah.
chilling.
Yeah. It's really like,
And you can, like, LA is so big, and it is annoying sometimes how long it takes to get places. But it's like, you can be on the beach, you can be up in Malibu, you can be fucking downtown, you can be in
Dude.
the valley. You can go, like, I get my hair done in Glendora. It's like, fucking,
Yeah,
like, I
man.
can be anywhere.
dude, I went out to Malibu last weekend, and I was with a friend of mine. And I looked at it, and I'm like, yo, we're an hour and a half from home, bro. Like
It's lit.
in Jersey, an hour and a half. I'm like halfway to Baltimore, bro.
You're in New York.
Yeah. Oh, well, easily in New
You're
York.
past New York.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. Like, forget about it. But it was like, I think that
That's
you-
what's crazy about the East Coast is you're like, it's like 18 different cities, but you're all like a bus ride or a fucking train ride from New York.
Yeah. Well, that's what's crazy. Like, I always look at the
You could
map.
be in a different state and you could still be closer to New York than I am to downtown right now.
Yo, for real though. Like
Yeah.
for real. And also like California goes from like what, Florida to like Maryland. I mean, if you were to like to draw a
Yeah.
line, it's like crazy how big California is.
Yeah, and like, you know, you go up to the Bay, it's like a whole different vibe. You can go down. Dan just went down to San Diego. You can go to San Diego if you want LA. But
San
like,
Diego cool?
Yeah, San Diego's amazing. San Diego's like LA,
Really cool.
but like even slower pace, and you can like chill and like, you know, there's like a fucking cool bar scene out there, and I love playing shows out there. Like I have a really good fan base down there.
That's cool.
But it's just like chill, but you're still in like a beachy area. You're still in SoCal. I mean, I love SoCal energy.
Yeah.
But I love it all. I love living in LA. Like, I've been here for 8 years.
I think you're a lifer.
I bought a house, so.
No way. Congratulations, dude.
Thank you.
Was that kind of like trippy? A little surreal?
Definitely. That's like the first real adult thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's like by far like the most adult thing I've ever done. Like the first real like fucking commitment thing I've.
Does it feel different, or is like mortgage kind of like rent?
Here, I'll give you an example. This morning I woke up and my fucking water wasn't running. I had you can't call it landlord. I'm like, why the fuck is my water not running? I call my business manager. I'm like, yo, like we paid the water bill, right? And they're like, yeah. And then like mysteriously, like 5 hours later, it came back on. But I was like panicking because I'm like, I'm the person.
Right.
Like if I was out of town and the water didn't turn on, my roommates would call me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm the fucking guy now,
dude.
But luckily, I have like the coolest roommates ever.
Yeah. You want to shout them out or no?
Yeah, Smart Death, Lotus, Jackie Boy, Wolftron. That's my fucking best friends. Me, Smart Death, and Lotus, obviously boyfriends. We got our project. Jackie Boy produces a lot of that. He's finishing the Boyfriends album up right now. Jackie Boy's finishing that.
Hell yeah. I'm a stan of those guys. I got I brought the Smart Death video to MTV when what's the one Morgan directed? It's like kind of like
the last single off the last album.
Yeah. I love that video, dude. That
video's
got
like crazy long hair. It's like
and it's sort of like
goblin.
Sin City inspired.
Yeah,
they got that like old school shot or whatever.
Yeah,
we played that video
driving
on MTV, and then
you gonna play the I Just Remembered video on MTV?
When's it drop?
In a matter of hours.
Oh, send me the video, bro. Tell Nick to send me the video. I would love to. And then Lotus is stopping by because I love that Tonight song. I know he's got like a single coming or whatever. But is that Feldman?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Lotus, I love Lotus. So that song with Chrissy, the romantic disaster one, I came in on that one and helped them finish that record. I got Chrissy on it, and I mean I love Lotus to death. We've got a bunch of really good music. Me, Smart Death, and Lotus. Like,
you should come back when he's on the show. He's doing the same thing you just did for, I don't know. It's after Lala. So is he going to Lala?
I don't know. I think he's about to be on tour, so maybe not.
Oh, really?
Because he's also in a band called If I Die First.
I didn't even know that.
Very good, like, scene screamo.
Dude,
MySpace
he did.
screamo.
Maybe you know what I'm talking about. This is like, so I knew his face before I knew who he was, because there was some video, bro, and I gotta find it because I remember it was like the funniest video I'd ever seen, like no fucking cap, and it was like a sketch show. It was this
Lotus?
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
Oh, with the one where they're like, did you take the last condom? And they like start shooting each other.
Yes, dude.
Yeah,
what the fuck was that?
That's our homie who makes sketch videos. That's hilarious. That video was funny. I was super bummed I wasn't there.
How long ago was that? That feels like forever ago.
I don't know. Maybe that was 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. But you're also friends. You're in one of the videos. There's a guy I want to give props to that is really creative. Sean Barrett. Is that his name?
Yeah. So Sean just did a video with here, let me look this up. So I don't.
Because he does stuff that like no one does. Like
he's directed a lot of my music videos.
Has he really?
Yeah.
His TikToks or whatever you want to call them, like the short stuff that you've been in. Because I think
Kendra. So Kendra Uncut. He's the one that did that short you're talking about.
Okay.
And him and Sean actually today dropped a fucking hilarious TikTok, and the dude from Trapped got like really offended.
Oh, I saw that. The Headstrong.
But like, did you see the Trapped response?
No,
the dude
no.
from Trapped
What did Trapped say?
He was like, I can tell you have no friends just by like, he was just like so offended by it. It was hilarious. They have like a TikTok beef now, which is
amazing.
It's so amazing. But yeah, so Sean directed the Hot Topic video. He directed the Study Gucci Belt video. He directed what else? He's directed a bunch of videos of mine. He's directing the Pretty Little Breakdown video, me and Smart Death.
Cool.
He directed the Smart Death and Little Air song that was on She Told Me to Kill Myself, the one on Smart Death's album. He's a good friend of mine. He's a fucking genius when it comes to the video shit. I love him to death.
Well, he's such an original thinker.
100%.
Like I was did I ask you already? Do you know Max Beck? He's a photographer, videographer.
Of course, Max is my boy, bro.
Oh, dude, he and I were here last night with my buddy Gabe Black, who you also know.
Yes, right. That's how we met.
That is how we met.
In real life.
Yeah, in real life.
Yeah.
No, but like Max, another guy that I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're like this, but if I see somebody on the internet and I'm like, oh, I fuck with you, I'll just try to become friends with you. You know what I mean? Not in like a fucking weird way, but just like okay, like-minded people.
Kind of like a, I think clout whore is the term.
Yeah. Social climber.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what they used to call me.
Networking guy.
Yeah, and so
you're like a Lincoln Build type dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yo, add me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, for real.
But I had never met him before, and he just came here. And it's funny how like you can have rapport with, like, I'm really fascinated by like-minded people where you just meet and you're like, oh, we have rapport, you know?
Right, where it's like, even when I met you, I was like, it's kind of like that, wait, have we not met yet? Or how, like, you know, it's like we're meeting for the first time, but like, it's not like, because of the internet and social media, it's not like we're meeting for the first time, we know nothing. It's like we already have had conversations and we know what we know our mutual interests.
Exactly.
And we know, like, you know, what each other thinks is funny.
Yeah. Like, totally. You can just like kind of like hop right in. And
it's like, oh, we already know what to talk about. Like, you were like talking about strip clubs within
the
30
first
seconds.
Thing I say to him, I go, yo, so are you about that strip club?
Yeah.
Strip clubs, or is that a fucking gimmick?
Bro, if there's one part of my life that's not a gimmick, it's the strip clubs.
Yeah, I think that was verbatim, but it was very aggressive. It was kind of like...
I was like, don't challenge me. And we were both just like going back and forth on strip clubs.
Yeah, it was like two dogs like barking at each other about strip clubs.
And I feel like Gabe was like...
Oh, he is so not about the strip club.
He was just like, oh, okay, you guys are talking about strip clubs, okay.
Yeah. Oh, he's like the sweetest. But Max, it was so funny because I'd never met him before. I was like, dude, come down to K-Rock. And so he came down last night after the show, and we wound up being here till like midnight.
Sick.
And he's I mean, if you know him, I mean, he's just such a bright guy, and he's just
he used
like,
to always come to the mini mansion, my old house that Jonah actually lived in. That was just like my party house. Like, it was fucking insane.
I heard about that in New York, dude. That's how legendary that was. There were like dudes that would like name drop Aaron, be like, yeah, I went to Little Aaron's one time. I was like, oh, really?
Yeah, dude, the parties were next level.
Yeah.
When you got to come to the next one at my new house.
Oh, please, dude. I'm like there. I won't get invited
Keg
back.
stands.
What's it called? When you like, you're talking about you used to throw crazy parties. Like when you get more successful and you move into this space that you're kind of in now, where you're very like, whether you want to admit it or not, you're very in demand, especially with this stuff. People want to work with you. They think of you top of mind. Do you have to sort of button it up a little bit? Like, do you think about that stuff?
I have that internal dialogue a lot, but I think people love me for me. And people hate me for me too. But the people that love me for who I am. I don't think I necessarily need to be like put on this. I used to think I had to like, oh, I gotta be this business guy when I'm in meetings. I'm like, no, these people know that I'm like this person.
Check his Twitter, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you're working with me, you've heard my lyrics, you know what I talk about, you know what I'm about. Like, you know.
Aaron's Twitter is like what I wish my Twitter could be. Like if I wanted to tweet what I want to tweet, it's Aaron's Twitter.
I'm a shitbag.
It's great. He just pulls out. There was one where you were like, so-and-so from Body Shop, please DM me.
And then I showed up at home and she was in my house. I showed up at my house and she was already there.
Have you ever been given the fake number by a stripper?
Of course.
I was like 18 and I thought I was dating Cinnamon from the Hustler Club on the West Side Highway in New York, and I just wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't dating.
Bro, what was I watching? Yeah. I think I was watching...
I did date a stripper when I was...
What's the give me a hell, give me a yeah? It's not Blue Mountain State. It's is that Blue Mountain State?
Wow, fucking dude, Blue Mountain State.
So I was watching Blue Mountain State last night, and the one dude walks into the strip club, and he's like talking to all the girls, but like their names like start like normal stripper names, and they start getting like funnier and funnier, like just like what's up sushi, what's up so and so,
what's up sushi,
and I was like, I love that, just like fucking crazy rare stripper names, because like you're gonna have a Diamond, you're gonna have a Cinnamon, you're gonna have a Destiny.
Yep.
But like I love the rare stripper names.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, I got new music Friday.
Oh, did it? You did? So wait, let me ask you. Is it true you don't know until you know? Like you don't...
I just got the text.
But they don't tell anybody.
No, I just got the text.
I think that's such a fascinating playlist that I would watch like a documentary on how... Because I think about all the different playlisters and programmers at that company, and then they have to funnel it, right? Did you ever think about this shit? Like, it's just, how do you fucking narrow it down to like... Aaron's so stoked.
Like, not to be on radio.com or Odyssey and shouting out also another platform, but shout out Spotify for showing love. That's amazing. Is that bad for me to say on your show?
No, dude. Everyone always asks stuff like that. I'm like, I don't care. Dude, this is so funny. You want to know a really funny story? I don't care. I mean, whatever. So we have Jaden here on Friday of album release day, and there's these fans outside. So I was like, fuck it, let's bring him in. So it's always like a roll of dice. You're putting a kid on the radio, you know what I mean? And so, there's two big companies in radio. There's this company, Odyssey, and then there's another big one that I'm sure you can think of. Yep, exactly. And so she comes in. I was like, have you ever met Jaden? And like the moment you want is like, I've never met him.
And she's like, I met him at.
She's like, yeah, I met him at this thing. And I'm just like, oh, really? And I'm like, she starts going on about how great that thing was. And I was like, that's amazing. That's why you don't put people on the radio just off the street. But it's funny. No, but I don't care. Shout out Spotify. Spotify's awesome.
Shout out anyone showing me love, honestly.
Yeah, that's
I'm
pretty
an
killer,
independent
though.
artist, self-produced. You know, I'm doing this on my own. I've obviously got a great manager, and I've got Dan, a great guitarist, producer, helping me out. My homie JP helped me write a lot of the songs. Like, it's a small team, but it's small and mighty. And even you guys putting me on, shit like that, like that shit, that goes a mile. You know,
Totally,
a little love like that. It's like I don't have a PR person. I don't have a fucking label. I don't have.
You don't even have anybody to answer your DMs. You know how many times I DM'd this guy? And I was like, "Hey man, I'd really like to have you on." And I went to Twitter. It was so funny because
if he would have been showing like some butt, maybe I would have responded.
I know, I should have, man. I should have sent him that OnlyFans link.
I know. I would have been like, "Yes, sir."
We got to wrap this sucker up.
Okay,
This was amazing.
Well, everybody stream
You're the Dog.
Put I Just Remembered on repeat because I'm trying to get that song up. I'm trying to take that shit to radio.
That's a great song.
I'm trying to take that shit to radio for real. So thank you for getting the ball rolling.
Let me ask a geeky question here, because I can also ask you off air, but I'm curious. I think what makes that hook special is melodically what you do on the second line of the hook.
A little too late too.
Yeah, let's go over it off air. I actually want to pick your brain on it because I think it's a very interesting decision.
Okay.
It's unexpected, but and also plug Boyfriends, because that's probably out by the time
new
this is out.
Boyfriends album is coming.
Okay.
Soon. I mean, if it's not out by the time you hear this, bother Jackie Boy. He's supposed to be finishing it.
There
right
you
now.
go. At Jackie Boy. Lil Aaron, everybody.
What's up? At Kevan Kenney. At Kevan Kenney, everybody.